You did $100,000 tank challenge. Could you describe to everybody like what it was, like how did that idea even, what it was, how the idea spawned, and what the experience was like?
We put you in a tank, you aimed, you got out, you fired it at a target downrange, and the goal was if you hit the target, we were going to give you $100,000.
You are clear to fire! 3, 2, 1!
Everybody, I have John Roman with BattlBox here. He's the CEO of BattlBox, which, you know, what's interesting is John was the CEO of BattlBox Group that consisted of BattlBox, Carnivore Club, and was it Wanlo?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And which was a $30 million e-commerce subscription portfolio, but it was acquired in 2021. But then, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, John's over here and he's like, I'll be back. And John goes on to buy back BattlBox in April of 2023. Wow, that's pretty recent here. Took it private, and he's now the CEO of Battle Brands, which owns BattlBox. BattlBox has its own TV show, had a TV show on Netflix called Southern Survival. I believe it was 2020 that you guys had that out. And today he is our guest of honor. So John, thanks for the time, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, Josh, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be on here.
Yeah, so I have, and I told you this earlier, but like I was introduced to you by Nathan with Pipsticks, with Pipsticks. If anyone hasn't listened to that episode, it's a great episode with Nathan from Pipsticks. Go listen. It's like episode 59. Just don't quote me. It's like 50 something. Go listen to it. Really, really good. And so Nathan's like, if you haven't had John, you have to have John on. And then we finally got you on. I know you're a really busy guy, and so we got you on here. And then I started telling people in our community that I was gonna have you on. I was very excited about it because I'm an outdoorsy guy. I love survival stuff. We're about to go on a 2-week trip out to out west here in a month. And I started telling everyone, and then everyone that I talked to was like, John, BattlBox, great guy. John, great guy. John, great guy. And so now we're here. And we're gonna see by the end of this. I'll give you the coffee stamp of approval, man.
Yeah. Am I really a good guy or not? Or have I just fooled everybody?
Yeah, this whole time. Well, so I want to know. I'd love to pull back to the beginning a little bit, like the original day. Like, so what kind of prompted you to start BattlBox, and what kind of led it to where it is today? And I know there's a lot of things in that, but what kind of started it? Like, what was that first starting moment for you?
Sure. So there were 4 of us that were the original partners, founders, co-founders. One of them, Daniel, business partner that is no longer involved in any capacity. He was watching. It's kind of cool. He was watching his, at the time, fiance get a Birchbox every month in the mail, and he saw that, you know, that unboxing experience, that genuine experience of excitement and emotion as you're going through, you know, this Christmas every month experience. And he wanted it. Let me clarify, he wanted that feeling himself. And also an outdoorsman. And he went online, couldn't find anything, and was like, okay, well, if I can't find one to buy, maybe I should start one. And that was really the moment that this all came together, and it came together quickly. He had a site launched within a week, within a couple weeks, but early February site launched. I bought into it to be originally in a very hands-off advisory role, and it just quickly exponentially rocket ship to the moon. And time was needed, and things changed, and it was as simple as that. We were using at the time a platform called Cratejoy, which was like super easy just to get started, right? Like everything's there. It gives you the template. You can have you can be a novice when it comes to e-com or website building, or honestly business, and you can be up and running and have a site live in a very short order. So we outgrew them a while back, but they were paramount to us, getting to market immediately.
And so when was this that BattlBox officially launched?
So we launched in February 2015.
Okay, 2015. And then was there a moment that it just like took off, or was it just gradual?
It was quick. So in the month of February, we ended up selling about 200 subscriptions. And
in 2015?
In February 2015, the first month. So we were probably launched for that month at about 3 weeks of the month, in February, and we picked up 200 subscriptions. The first full month, or month 2, we did 1,000 new subscriptions.
Whoa!
And then the third month, I think we popped 1,200 additional. So it was success fairly quickly. Wow. It not to discredit any of it, but it was a very good idea, very strong brand, but it was also timing's always part of it too, right? So there was subscription box craze. That's probably one of you can't time the market. Like everybody wanted a subscription box in 2015. And you take that, you take a great idea, great brand, you take a product that wasn't out there, right? Which was the reason it was created. And then you take being able to acquire customers for $5 a piece on Facebook. And,
wow. $5. What in the world? Yeah, that's
it's a
fair.
Different world. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
So a lot of it is, there's, you can argue, do you create your own luck? There was definitely some luck in that. It was definitely a perfectly timed execution.
Wow. So you started this in 2015. It sounds like it just started getting traction really, really fast. And just for everyone, can you describe what BattlBox is and what are the boxes that you offer?
Sure. So BattlBox is an adventure and outdoor brand at its core, and we're a little bit non-traditional in the sense that we really lead with 2 important factors. And all of our decisions, all of our business decisions, all decisions take these 2 things into account when making those decisions. And one is community and the other one is content, which is a very non-traditional approach. You'll notice that just when I described BattlBox, I didn't say we're a subscription box. 90% of our revenue is from the subscription box. Mm-hmm. You could classify us with certainty as a subscription box. We do not position ourselves necessarily as a subscription box. We're a membership. We're an experience, and I think that's part of the secret sauce is that we take community very seriously. And it's of the utmost importance. And by leading with that, by putting out really cool content, it helps just with the brand, with retention, with experience. It just changes the dynamic, and it makes it very, very, very less transactional.
That reminds me of I don't know if you've ever seen Founder about McDonald's and Ray Kroc, but it kind of reminds me.
Great movie.
Yeah, by the end, it's kind of like The Social Network with Mark Zuckerberg. It's like you kind of get it, but you also have this little part that you're like, I kind of don't like you a little. It's kind of like sleazy, but I get it. It's logical. So one thing that McDonald's or Ray Kroc always said was he's like, we're not in the burger business, we're in the real estate business. Yeah. And that's part of the play that they had when they franchised. So you're like, hey, we're not in the subscription box business. We're in the community, the content-driven business, the experience, and that is obviously funded and it's all together, but your positioning and messaging of that is community and content. I like that. That's really good.
Hopefully if there's ever a movie about me, people don't view me that uneasy Ray Kroc feeling.
You come back, you buy it, you take it over. Like
I'm sure we'll get to that, but that was never part of the plan. at all.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we talk about that? Because like you started in 2015, you got pretty good traction. $5 CPAs. I mean, I think anyone here would just fall over in this seat if they were able to get that today. I don't even pay. I pay more than that for a lead. So the fact that
don't get me wrong. We don't get that as a CAC now.
Yeah.
CPA now. I would, if that was possible. So really so we saw that immediate success. We did have a little bit, I would say it was bleeding edge on thought process back in 2015. I would say it should be part of everyone's standard go-to-market strategy in 2023. But we, off the jump in February, we had 2015, we had 30 YouTubers that we had talked to, identified, had their mailing address, and we started off the jump sending them boxes. I think it works well for BattlBox. Some brands, it might not, maybe 100% YouTube off the jump isn't the right answer. Maybe it's a mix of reviewers and influencers, but that's got to be part of your initial go-to-market strategy. You have to get people talking about your brand in an organic, genuine way. And
how important? I was gonna say how important do you believe that is? Because I will say most subscription boxes that we work with and that I know don't do that, or they don't do it they don't do it much. They don't prioritize it. Like, how important is that? Scale of 1 to 10.
To me, I'm putting it up there. It's a 9.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's you want the buzz, and if you might not have when you launch truly, define product market fit yet. You're still probably trying to figure it out, and you might have to make tweaks to your offering to make it work. You're going to get that feedback, right? You're going to get, and it's double feedback when you're giving it to influencers and reviewers, because one, if you're building any sort of relationship with that individual, they're going to give you feedback. But more importantly, when they drop their content, their audience is going to give feedback too. So you're getting it from both sides, and to me, that's just very valuable, and I think that should be valuable. Listening to customers and potential customers is kind of key to making sure your offering is what they want. I think founders, and maybe it's honestly cyclical, where sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I think founders a lot of times have a very bad habit of thinking that they know exactly what the consumer wants. And that's a problem, because you don't. Yeah. You can think you do, but the reality is the line in the sand is constantly shifting based on a million variables outside of your control. Like right now with the economic climate we're in, you have to keep your ear on the ground. You have to be speaking to customers and getting feedback. And that accomplishes that.
I think I'm all on board with that. I think that, like you said, as founders, we know everything about our product. We think one thing about it, but a lot of times what people say and truly believe it is different. And then we try to live in this bubble of like perfect. Well, why aren't we getting the conversions that we want, or why aren't we getting the results we want, or the reviews that we want? And you have to look at it like sometimes you just got an ugly baby. And all you have to, it's okay. I don't know if you can do anything about an ugly baby, but sometimes it's just ugly, and you can't see it for what it is. But other people outside are like, dude, your kid's not that cute. Maybe like change his clothes or something. Then you got to work a little bit. Maybe that's a bad analogy.
No, I don't think it's a bad analogy. I think it's a great analogy. So to finish the thought on that, it was an interesting thing. So in month three, we saw it a little bit in month 2, but then we saw it a lot in month 3. Again, to date ourselves on 2015, we had kind of cringy to say, we had a pre-purchase survey, arguably not great for conversion rate optimization, but we were naive, and 2015 was a different time. And it was, how did you hear about us, right? And it had the usual suspects: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. And there was an other, and you could click other and you could type something in. And right away in the second month we saw it, but then we saw it like actually gain momentum and be like 20% of what people were filling in, and they were clicking other and they were writing current 1776, and we're like, what is that? We don't know what this is. And we end up doing a quick search. We find him on YouTube. He's doing BattlBox reviews. We're like, oh, okay, perfect. One of the 30 boxes we're setting out is working really well. We look on our Google Sheet, and he's not in the list. So we do some additional research, find out his real name, look him up. He's a paid customer in our top tier, and he is driving traffic and equally or more important conversions.
Wow.
And we reach out to him. He is a full-time, career-long for 2 decades HVAC guy. And at nighttime, he shoots some video content. It's kind of his passion, right? It's his hobby. It's his unwind from a hard day at work. And we reach out to Brandon, and we're like, hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to pay for the box anymore. We're just going to keep sending it to you. Please don't stop. And then a few months go by, and it's continuing. We're putting up a 2,000 new sub month, and he's easily responsible for a few hundred. And we're like, wow. Yeah, Brandon, box is still free. We're also going to give you $500 a month. And make sure you post it on this day and this time, and let us know if you have any problems with the products. And the next conversation was, hey, do you want to quit your career, your job, do this full time? We're going to take it. It's not just going to be a monthly review. Like, we're going to dive into content hard. And, we'd love for you to be the face of our brand and lead the way. Do you want to move your wife and 3 kids to Georgia? And he obviously consulted with his wife, but then came back and said yes. And that was a really paramount point, because it was there's in no playbook does it say, hey, if you have a really strong influencer creator that is, collabing with your brand, to like flip the script and bring them on board as the face of the brand. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Especially back in 2016.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, so he's the big beard guy, right?
Yeah, Brandon.
Okay. I didn't know the name. Okay, I didn't know the name. I've just seen him in all of your stuff. Okay.
All of it.
He's a manly dude.
Yeah.
I'd hate to go up against him.
Charisma. like you see him in a video, you can't help but like him. Like, he's such a likable guy and genuine.
Yeah. I think I just watched the video of the tank, and he had like Captain America stuff on or something like that. Just super manly. Which, by the way, we have to talk about that once we get through you're leaving the company. We're going to come back to that. That's really cool.
He was not happy about middle of Texas a couple weeks ago because it was hot.
Was it Drive Tanks? Was it Domination? It was Drive Tanks. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I'm familiar. That's cool. So, and for anyone listening, we're just going to sneak peek. They did $100,000. Was it a tank challenge where they had to shoot a target? Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. For $100,000 if they hit it.
Yeah. So we're gonna tease all of you. Let's come back and talk about that. But let's keep on the story here. So as you're kind of getting into this, things are taking off. You bring this influencer in. 2021, you decided to sell. Like, that's a huge decision. I'd be scared to do it because I feel like I would regret it. I don't know. Like, what was that experience like for you, and what prompted you to sell?
So we So I'll try to breeze through the next couple of years to be cognizant of time. So 2016, I stepped away. I was actually had a career in sales management, B2B technology sales, and I would build sales teams, not D2C marketing by any means. But once we saw the momentum of the business, and we go into year 2, and our projection, our run rate is we're gonna do 8 figures if we stay on track. So I came in full time in early 2016. One of my first things to do was, there were 4 of us that were the 4 partners. One of the partners wasn't bringing any value or doing really anything. And I won the short straw, where I had to figure out how we were going to structure some kind of buyout to remove him. So did that. Now there's 3 of us, myself, Daniel, who came up with the idea, and Patrick. So the 3 of us, fast forward, bring Brandon on full time. Brandon parlays success of our content and the face, and it's the reason we got the Netflix show. And fast forwarding, we get to a point where Daniel is ready to be done, ready to, at our age, I don't know if, I guess you technically could say retire. He's over it. And he's also not really putting in the same amount of effort that maybe he did at one point. And we're just in an interesting spot at that point. How do we do this? Do we buy him out? Well, that's not going to really work, because if we agreed internally that we wanted at minimum 6x EBITDA, and that's tough pill to swallow for Patrick and myself to justify paying that if we don't have a huge plan to double. Even if we double in size, we're likely looking at a 3-year payback, which is risky. And how are we going to get the money? Personal guarantees, like it's scary.
Yeah.
And the alternative was find a buyer that we would view as a partner, that would allow us to continue to run the ship, that would more importantly just be really a partner and maybe bring some value to us. And we don't want to be the smartest people in the room. Let's be surrounded by smarter people. And that's what we started to look for. And we went down the whole rabbit hole of, we had some private equity offers, and they couldn't give us, one of which was a better deal, but they couldn't give us the assurances that we were looking for, that our team was going to stay intact, that they weren't just going to treat us like a spreadsheet. And we ultimately found what we thought was going to be a great partner in Emerge. And they were kind of, they said everything we wanted to hear. And I think at the time it was probably genuine. They were, they had just gone public. They were via SPAC, and they were stacking up e-com brands that were direct to consumer in high growth mode. And they had this vision of all these synergies they could bring together. And we were all being ran as independent business units, which checked a box for us. We were still in control of our destiny in theory.
So you sold and still worked at the company then?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So fast forward, we sold, and Daniel was able to immediately day one retire and be done. And Patrick and myself, and Patrick's our COO, and then Richard Tom's our CFO. He stayed on too. The 3 of us stayed on. And Richard, we had brought on a few years prior in 2018, and he was also paramount to our business. We needed a smart person in that CFO seat, and we just were in desperate need of it for a bunch of reasons. So the 3 of us stayed on, and I think in the deal it was 60% upfront cash, which was great, and the other 40% of the deal was tied to a 3-year earnout. So myself, Patrick, and Richard were going to be with BattlBox for 3 years because of the potential monetary reason to stick around.
And then so then just literally a few months ago, you bought it back.
Yeah. It was never part of the plan.
Okay.
I want to kind of be a little careful here with my words. I think it's public knowledge. You look at what happened in the stock market from end of 2021 up through all of 2022 and the beginning of 2023. It's tough. It's tough for publicly traded companies. More importantly, you look at SPACs, and to no fault of their own, they could have great, business economics, but you look at the story of all SPACs, and they all lost 95% of their value on the market. And there's ramifications when that happens. And it created an opportunity for us. That was truly mutually beneficial, where we could supply some cash that was needed. Cash is always needed for businesses, and we were able to take our baby back.
Okay. So I love hearing really unique, like yours is a really unique story because like the whole sell, the stay, the buyback, that's unique. You hire an influencer, like who does that? The timing of the start, I mean, timing plays a role for sure, but also there are others that started in 2015 that didn't make it. So there is intelligence at the table and smart, hardworking people. Don't want to discount that.
You look at some of the, at times they were who we looked up to and wanted to replicate the Birchboxes of the world. I mean, Birchbox, I guess, is technically still around and it's maybe going to make a rebound, but it's with its third owner, right? It wasn't a fun journey. We watched them go from $1 billion valuation to bankruptcy.
Wow.
So we've done some things right, and I think it's honestly just being a little bit conservative with our growth, small, steady, calculated, just slow and steady up to the right, as opposed to rocket ship. We had rocket ship in the beginning, but it's tough to manage.
Yeah. So I'd love to talk about the Netflix experience. So if you could just break down what led to it and what was the result of doing that.
Sure. So what led to it, we had gotten pinged in 2018. So shortly after Brandon came on, we just really doubled down with content. And all of a sudden we were doing product reviews and funny videos and we probably 5x'd our content overnight with Brandon starting in a full-time capacity. So we had been reached out to, someone had seen the Brandon videos, seen the BattlBox videos, a production studio called High Noon Entertainment. Feathers in their cap are Cake Boss and Fixer Upper.
Okay.
So
two small shows.
Yeah, two small shows, but both shows involved businesses, which was very interesting and appealing. And we had seen what Fixer Upper, they shot up into, they're in retail, it's insane the growth that they saw. And Cake Boss's relevance, right? There's I saw a vending machine last time I was in Vegas where you could buy slices of cake that his team has made, which is weird, vending machine cake. But
that's pretty interesting. I'd be skeptical.
So they reached out and they said, hey, we want to shoot a sizzle reel with you guys. And we of course said, what is a sizzle reel? Because we don't know Hollywood terms and talk. And from my understanding, you get a sizzle reel, and from that you shop that to get money for a pilot. You then shoot the pilot, and then you get money for a full season. And that's typically the way it goes. And sometimes that pilot will actually air first, before the network pulling the trigger and giving money for the rest. So we said, okay, we'll shoot this sizzle reel. And it instantly went to History Channel. History Channel sat on it for 6 months with very little communication, and then eventually after 6-7 months said, hey, appreciate it, but no, we don't want to shoot, we don't want to pay for a pilot. We don't see a reason to do this. So at this point it's probably a total of 10 months of the journey, and we're just deflated. It didn't work out. Like, what a shame. And they're like, no, we're going to pitch it to Discovery Channel. Okay. So same thing. Discovery Channel sat on it for 6 months, didn't tell us yes or no, finally said, no, we're just going to pass. So we're like, getting close to a year and a half into it, rejection. We're already kind of like tuning it out. It's not going to happen. And they're like, we're in early 2019, they're like, in January, they say, hey, we're going to pitch it to two non-standard companies. We're going to pitch it to Walmart, which had a streaming service. I don't know if it's around anymore. I can't even think of what it was called, but Walmart streaming service, and we're going to pitch it to Netflix. And they pitch it to Netflix first, and Netflix says yes. To clarify, they don't do pilots. They don't pay for pilots. They said no. We'll do a season, and we want the right to 7 seasons. And we'll cut a check, and we'll pay this much. We'll pay this multi-millions of dollars towards budget, and we'll do it right, and we'll do it the Netflix way. But it's ours. Like, we own it. It becomes a Netflix original series. So we're like, sure. And they send us a 130 page agreement. We look at it, and it's in a foreign language, and we're like, wow. So like, we can't even take this to the normal lawyer we take stuff to. So we have to find an entertainment lawyer. Spend hours and an embarrassing amount of money, and we redline it all exactly how it needs to be. We feel really good about this red line. We send it back to Netflix after about a week and a half, and they reply back 10 minutes later and say, apologies if we didn't set clear expectations. There's no redlining this. This is a Netflix agreement. If you want it, sign it. And we ended up signing it. We made some changes and tweaks in kind of our view. Initially, I was going to be a part of the show. I was not comfortable with the character that I was going to be, because it's reality TV at the end of the day. But also with the commitment, like, it was very clear. It's a one-way agreement. And some of the stuff just didn't feel that warm and fuzzy. 24-hour notice to go anywhere domestically to promote it, with no choice. Like, it 100% wasn't for me, but we saw the value in it. So we did it. Fast forward, filmed in 2019, came back and did some touch-ups in January of 2020, and then radio silence from Netflix. We don't hear anything at all. We're trying to reach out because, one, we want to know, when is this going to drop? Is it going to drop? Do you have any guidance? Like, what kind of lift is this going to give? They would provide zero guidance. We were just viewed as talent, which is a little disappointing, but I get it. But also disappointing because at the end of the day, we're a business first. And the reality is, there was no case study on a business having a show drop in the binge era where people watch entire seasons. There was Duck Dynasty, which was a business, and their duck calls blew up and it became this empire, but it wasn't apples to apples because it was on traditional TV where there was a new episode every week. So the traffic and the data from that is a little flawed, and you can't really extrapolate easily because it was a very slow build in their website traffic and success and conversion rate and all the stuff that applies to e-com. So we're just throwing darts at the board, and we hope that we put some new process in place so that we didn't necessarily get death by inventory. And we were ready. We got word in April, so we're midst of the pandemic now. Perfect timing.
Lockdown April
for a show. We had just gotten through the Tiger King phenomenon, so we're like, oh, this is perfect. Maybe this will be the next Tiger King, which, I don't know if you want that, but you do if you're talking about getting eyeballs and traffic on the brand. And we premiered July 4th weekend, 2020. What did it look like? So leading up to that, we were getting about 125,000 unique visitors a month on our site. Okay. In the month of July, we hit 1.2 million unique visitors.
Wow. Did your website crash at all or anything like that?
No.
Sustained it.
It sustained it. So we used Shopify Plus. We spoke to them and kind of told them, hey, this is coming on the pipeline. We're concerned about this. And they assured us that we were in a cluster that was similar to the ones that like Kylie Jenner are in, where because that traffic is normal traffic for some of these big brands like Kylie Jenner's I'm in a lip gloss, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But so we were fine. We never saw an issue with traffic. The traffic was interesting. It obviously is very hard to track because it's not like there's a UTM parameter in the Netflix show and it's
Yeah, they can let you use.
Yeah,
Can we put our triple whale, North Beam, or Hyros attribution UTM strip on all of these with the links?
Yeah, so exactly. So it was a little bit tough because you obviously saw an increase in direct. You saw a very large increase in Google. Unfortunately, Google organic and Google paid because we were bidding on branded. So of course, people don't understand that's an ad still and click that.
Whoever was managing your ads looked like a hero that month, I bet. And they're just, guys, we're running like 82 ROAS this month. Like, right. I'm great.
Yeah. Unstoppable.
Yeah.
That entire year was a fun year for agencies because, especially for us, because you had the pandemic. So you weren't losing anyway. You were winning and putting up those numbers when it comes to, CPA or return on ad spend. But then we gave them in the midst of the pandemic, which was giving the e-com boom, we then threw a TV show in the mix. So to your point, like, I think I could teach my Chihuahua how to do some ads.
Yeah, 2020 plus Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so it didn't all behave exactly the same way. But it did behave well. So we did, it was very more one-time purchase centric, but we did see our subscriber base double in the 3 months following the show drop. And still to this day, you look at our post-purchase survey of where did you first hear about us, we still get on any given month today this year between 12 and 15% of traffic of new customer signups say they first heard about us on the TV show. It's very long in the tooth when it comes to we're still feeling it.
We're 2 years past that and you're still feeling that's pretty. So that's 2020, not 2021. Yeah. That's pretty impressive. That's neat. So 2020 had to have been a really good year for you guys.
2020 was, and that was, you can't time the market. But we were having the internal figuring out. Daniel wanted to retire. What do we do? We were coming off of the pandemic. We then had the Netflix show. It was right after that, around November 2020, when we decided, okay, well, let's go through the process, right? Let's see what it looks like to sell this, and hopefully to a partner that makes sense. And that's what, and it was right then we had, I think we had our first conversations with Emerge in January 2021, and by March we had an LOI signed, and it just took from March to October to close. We weren't doing audited financials. We thought we were doing, and we were doing a great job with financials, but at the end of the day, the whole publicly traded company piece, financials have to be very, very, very specific in certain ways. And the audit that we did, while it didn't hurt us or change anything, the amount of time it took pushed the deal out as long as it did.
So one thing, one thing that I do see this trend, and I love that it comes back to those two things you said you always look at, and that's community and content. And so much of what we talked about has been around heavily on that, especially the content side of it. So Netflix played a role, but then recently, and I think you just wrapped this up in July, right? You did $100,000 tank challenge. Could you describe to everybody like what it was, like how did that idea even, what it was, how the idea spawned, and what the experience was like?
Yeah, so
because I watched the video, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's so what it was is it was a golden ticket model, Willy Wonka style, where there were 5 golden tickets placed in the July battle boxes that all went out. So our boxes go out in a set window each month. It's a drop style surprise, so everybody gets it around the same time. And if you had a golden ticket, we flew you to San Antonio, Texas. On a Wednesday that evening, we had a reception. That Thursday morning, you went on a bus with us, drove 2 hours out into rural Texas to drive tanks. And we put you in a tank, you aimed, you got out, you fired it at a target downrange, and the goal was, if you hit the target, we were going to give you $100,000. Unfortunately, nobody won, which is kind of disappointing. We genuinely we wanted someone to win, right? That checked so many boxes. Which, and it also is though kind of like a next one we do, like there just has to be a winner. Like we can't leave it up to chance.
Yeah, that kind of puts you in an uncomfortable spot too, because like everyone's there. You're like, we want to do this, but you guys aren't fluent in aiming and shooting tanks at targets, right. So you all suck.
Yeah, it was rough, but it was cool. Like we got to see the 5 BattlBox customers, and so we took we had 6 sponsors for the event. They were all brands that had been featured in BattlBox previously. So again, it was kind of cool because you were seeing the full ecosystem farm to table. You were seeing the vendors that make the products that go in the box, us, and then the end user, the consumer, and everybody interacting, which was cool. That part was really neat. And so how it happened in January of this year, we went to a show, and our CFO went past this. Drive Tanks had a booth at this show. Okay. And he grabbed the pamphlet, shot it over to me in Slack, and was like,
was it in Vegas? Was it the event in Vegas?
Yeah, SHOT Show in Vegas.
SHOT Show. Okay, SHOT Show. Yeah. I know a lot of people that went to that.
So, yeah, he sent it to me, and he's like, hey, potential content idea. And, there's a giant bee right in front of my face right now.
Be very still. I've been in this situation 3 times. No.
I don't even know what to do. Okay, so he sent it over. He's like,
don't show fear, John. They smell fear.
They smell fear. But he was like, maybe this is a content idea. Like we can shoot some tanks. That'd be some cool content. And around the same time he sent that, we were hearing rumblings of BattlBox's 100th box is coming in July, and our customers in our members only Facebook group are all speculating what's going to be in the box, and it was all unrealistic things we'd love to put in the box, but like if we put these things in the box, we would lose money and go out of business. Like we can't spend $500 on a box that we're selling for $170. It's just the economics aren't there. Like even if we could get that $500 item for $300, like we still can't put that item in a $170 box. Like we would lose too much money. So we knew we wanted to do something special, and just chatting through the tank thing. Next thing we knew, well, what if we do a golden ticket, and what if there's a target, and this probably would fall under the equivalent of an insurance policy, like a hole in one or half court shot, win the car. And it quickly just came together, and it was cool. My favorite part was that it's such a unique idea that everybody, especially marketers, were like, what a great sales tool. You are just going to get all the customers from it. And the reality is we had set this up. It was happening. We didn't announce it until the hours after, on the day of our customer renewal, which meant only our active customers at that moment of announcing could qualify. If you bought a box that day and signed up for a subscription, you weren't going to qualify. And we were very strategic about that because we wanted this to be a surprise and delight. We wanted this to be a retention tool. We wanted this to be a thank you to our customers, and we didn't want it to be a sales tool because if it was a sales tool, the message gets lost. It's tough. These customers that have been with us for years, they see it as a sales tool. It's probably just not as exciting. Still exciting. So it was an interesting move to do it as not a sales tool.
See, that's the marketer in me is just like, oh, the amount of sales and new customers and renew people that would have re-upped for that would have gone up. But that's a respect. Like I have mad respect for that. The fact that you didn't do it when you knew I can pull this lever and we can make a lot more money, but at the cost of maybe lowering the perception of us and why we're doing it with our existing reliable, loyal customers. That takes a lot of guts. Like you had just a bag of cash sitting on a table that you could have taken, but you're like, I'm not going to take this. I'm actually going to kind of take this and give this to our people. That deserves a lot of admiration.
But the reality is we're communicating this now. Like this event now, I think we literally dropped the video on Monday. So this is super, super fresh. We're already communicating and explaining like, yes, that's the first one we did, but there's more coming and there's more coming soon. So now people are going to see that they missed it. And if they want to sign up now, sure. There's a strong possibility that we're going to do something bigger, less game of chance, more ensuring somebody wins some money. And, I think it'll serve its purpose. The customers, I think we're cognizant that we didn't make it a sales tool and I think they can appreciate that. But I think it'll end up serving as a post sales tool because people will see, wow, this membership, this community is doing some really cool stuff. And I want to be a part of it, which was the goal.
So, speaking of community, I know that. What are some things that you do to just foster even more community? Like, what are ways you're really bringing people together? I think this is something that anyone listening should really pay attention because you guys have done a great job of this. From me, and I'm on the sidelines. Like I'm not in it. There are probably so many things you're doing, but community, I believe, is so important. And it's funny you say community and content because for us in our business, we say community, content. There's one other thing. We add coaching in there because in our business, we coach business owners. So right. We're community content coaching. And so we have ways we do, but like, what are ways that you really get the engagement, maintain it? Like, what does that look like to you when you're building that and sustaining it? Sure.
So something that we're just getting into is trying to be more cognizant of in person. So what we're doing is, in SHOT Show in January to when we were in Texas a couple weeks ago, we're having events, and I'll use the word event very loosely. We know we're going to be in a city on this date, so we're going to share with our community, our email list, our Facebook groups. Hey, this place, this time, if you're in the city, come hang out with us. We'll buy you a beer or we'll buy you a soda. And that's where we're really trying to put effort. Previously, and I think where we shine the most is on our Facebook group. So when we launched in 2015, it was called BattlBoxForum.com, and it was a Reddit-style bulletin board. It was very hard to manage, and it pained me. But we converted it to a Facebook group just because it's a lot easier to manage. Can use some automation in it, and you have to be an active subscriber to be in that group. And not everybody joins it. We through customer onboarding emails and texts and just app push automations and YouTube videos, we're educating that the group exists, but not everybody joins. I think in the group right now, we have around maybe 8,300 active subscribers in there. Mm-hmm. So not everybody's in there, but in that group, we're interacting daily. There's not a day that goes by where I personally am not where I'm not interacting with someone in that group. I would say on average in a week, we probably have 6 to 8 team members, BattlBox employees that are in the group conversing.
Wow.
So, random customer that just signed up posts something in this group, you're having multiple BattlBox employees jump in. It's a little.
That's
It's
cool.
a double-edged sword. It's super cool. It really screams community. It's definitely a double-edged sword because I get tagged in a lot of stuff in my personal account that is not good, right?
Yeah.
We've made a mistake, whether we did or not. Perception's reality. A customer is calling me out on something. So it is rough, and you have to have a really thick shell to do it. But then we have a lot of regular cadences. So Megan, who she's our marketing coordinator, once a week, every week, she posts a members only giveaway where we're sending out some actual gear, some t-shirts, maybe some swag, something. And the ask to enter is always very, low effort. Drop a comment below about this, or share, send us a picture of the last time you used your BattlBox gear, which obviously serves UGC purposes as well. But it's a very easy ask, and we're giving away and providing additional value to the customers. And then I would say myself once or twice a month, Brandon once or twice a month, Walter, who leads marketing with us, once or twice a month. We're also jumping in on our own accounts and saying, I actually did it on Tuesday. I said, hey, have some extra t-shirts. I forget what the ask was, but it was drop a comment below of when you joined BattlBox. And we had, a few hundred people comment and pick 6 of them, but little things like that, the genuine interaction, we procure a box each month with 6 to 8 products in the box. We have, and we communicate it very, very frequently. If you don't like the box, or if you want a certain item, or you think certain items should be in the box, we have a Google form sheet where active customers can submit product ideas. And when it makes it through its procurement process, if it ends up in the box, in our monthly book that comes in the box, we call it out. This came from Charlie in Sioux Falls. So it really is, this upcoming box, I think we have 2, possibly 3, almost half of the box was the ideas came from our customers. So it's cool because they can actually really see the impact they're making and that they are a part of it. And it's not ivory tower decisions. It's, hey, we're not perfect. We're humans just like you. If you have an idea for a better item in the box, share with us so we all can have the item. And it's just a very different approach that I think brands kind of get away from, but it plays into the community piece.
Yeah. Wow. Would you recommend, cause I'm going to go talk to the subscription box people later today and tomorrow. Would you recommend doing that from the beginning? If you did you do that from day one? Have a private community?
It from day one.
Okay.
And so we have, through this 8-year journey of BattlBox, we've stood up a couple other brands. We've acquired a few brands. We've sold some brands that we didn't buy back. And we've also had brands that we started and sold, and then we had brands that we started that failed. We had to shut down. And it's because, especially with some of the brands we acquired, trying to add this into the mix afterwards, it's tough. It doesn't feel natural. I feel when you launch with it, you can still do it, right? But it's being able to start with it just truly ensures it's in the DNA. And when you try to add it after, you're trying to clone at that point and separate DNA from RNA. And it's doesn't sound that easy. I think you can execute it, but it's probably 10x work to execute it how it can be executed if you were to just start it from inception.
I think I'm sure somebody listening is going to have the thought of like, well, but I'm only going to have at the beginning 22 people in there, or it's going to be like 112 people in there, and it's going to be a small amount. And there's like maybe this ego in the back of their mind that's like telling them like, oh, that's too small. That's not insignificant. What would you say to someone that's thinking that?
If you can have 22 people that are genuinely fans of the brand and want to be a part of the community, they're the infrastructure, right? Like they're gonna, if you cultivate that relationship correctly, they're all gonna find 5 people each, right? And then they're gonna be pillars in the community of that are looked upon, and they'll be your moderators when you need them. And like those are the seeds. Like 22 is perfect. Like I'd love to start with 22, because if all 22 are like into the brand and want to be a part of this and help you build it, like that's powerful.
That's good. I would, I'll just briefly share our journey. So we have a Facebook group. We have like 4,300 people in there now. When we started, it was slow, and now it just picks up. And you have those people that are the diehards, that they will answer the questions that everybody's asking for you, and they will defend you. So like I don't know if you guys ever use the everyone tag in your Facebook group, but if you use it, we use it once a week. We're
we use it very rare. We have used it before. Rarely though.
So we use it once. Ours is a free group, so we let people in for free. So they're not. If they were customers, maybe it'll be a little different. But they're not. I'm like, you're here for free. I go live. I'm going to live stream in the studio later today. You get a lot of free stuff. I could tag you once a week. So we'll do it, and we'll tag everyone when we drop the podcast. So when this podcast releases, everybody's going to get tagged in the group, and we say, hey, we take your stuff seriously. We will only tag you on good stuff, one time per week. And you'll have some people, like occasionally you'll have 1 or 2 people every week just comment like, at everyone tag is the fastest way to make me leave a group. And then you'll have like 15 other people hop in there and be like, don't let the door hit you on your way out. Or they'll hop in there and be like, I'm so glad you tagged me, or I wouldn't have seen that. Like you'll see people come and defend you. They're the diehards. So
those are your people.
Yeah.
Those are your people.
Those are. So last question here. What are you focusing on next? Because I know you've been in the business the whole time, but like, what's the next big push? You wrapped up this $100,000 tank challenge. Like, what's the next big push for BattlBox?
So ironically, we had our quarterly board meeting yesterday. All day, new first board meeting of this, technically new entity. And some of the people on the board, we didn't know prior. And we were chatting about it. And for me, there's a couple easy answers. We're going to, try to get into retail. A lot of like logical, next steps for growth. But then I think about, if we were going to be a trendsetter or blazer, like we have to look a little bit at things differently. So right now, and I could talk to you a year from now, and it might not be the right answer, but I like it and I want to try it. Is we're gonna do another event as quickly as we can, and we're gonna one up the tank thing. I don't know if it'll be as cool as the tank thing, because that's
pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet, right? But like we're gonna do something that's gonna involve more customers. And we're going to guarantee that money's being given away. And we're going to also make sure we include the full farm to table, where it's going to be our vendors, sponsors, us, customers. We might try to figure out a way to bring maybe additional customers that aren't necessarily participating for the whatever the contest is. And I think that's the play. Like, are we ever going to get our blended CPA down to 0, right? Are we ever going to not have to advertise? No. But if we can really time after time double down and double it down again on content and really just put cool stuff out, it's just going to slowly over time bring that blended CPA down. It's funny, when I started this journey in the mid 20 teens, we were looking at, and I even referenced it earlier today, we were looking at the Birchboxes, right? Like that's who we want to emulate. And other businesses, right? Some e-com, some just smart business people, some subscription. And, 8 years ago, that was what we were trying to say. How do we, we like that they're doing this. How do we take that? At this point, I'm watching Mr. Beast videos. I'm watching content creators, and I'm trying for us at this point to emulate and do the cool things that we like from each of them, which is wild to say, that a business is looking at creators in that lens. But you look at what they're doing, the creator community versus businesses. Yes, we're a business. Yes, we did a good job executing content and community and building it on top of a business, right? But you look at them, you look at I'll say his name again just because it's the best example any listener is going to know. With Mr. Beast, he built this amazing content. He figured out the algorithms, and he has all this ridiculous growth. And then he got into businesses. Then he starts Mr. Beast Burger, which didn't have a brick and mortar at first, and they had just basically ensured all these other brick and mortars had these key ingredients. And you can open up Uber Eats or DoorDash and you can order a Mr. Beast Burger. Or he launched Feastables, and on day of launch, they're in every Walmart nationwide. Like
crazy.
That's right. Like you tell me that I can get BattlBox product at every Walmart nationwide. Like that's a game changer. Even if the margins aren't great, like we could want to figure it out if cash flow allowed, but it's like a dream. And he's launched both of those now. And there's some smaller versions, Nelk Boys with their Full Send podcast, where they have a seltzer line, Happy Dad, that all of a sudden is getting in all these places. All these content creators, they built the content. They had the fanatics, right? The people that are jumping in on posts, protecting them. And then they dropped the businesses and they were instantly successful. So it's almost like a reverse engineered version of what we did. Obviously, they've all done it, exponentially better than we did. But it makes me think that that's the play. Like, I don't know if our next acquisition will be a brand, or if we'll try to stand another brand up on top of a creator. I think we're looking at this all in a much different lens now. And it all started. We were always focused on content, but the rise of short form video content, I think, really changed the landscape quickly. Yeah. So we're looking at everything in a much different lens now. And it
aligns with everything that you guys believe, community, and then heavy on the content. I want to close with five takeaways I have from this. I'm going to read these off, and I want you to add anything to these after. 5 takeaways I have. So anyone listening, here's what Josh Coffey thinks. Number 1, leverage influencers and reviewers. Number 2, content creates brand. We just really dove into that with Mr. Beast. Number 3, be intentional about your community. They use a Facebook group. Consider what that looks like for you. I think a Facebook group is free and easy. Number 4, create a feedback loop with your customers. You even have your customers help select products and you give them props when they do. And then number 5, get a Netflix show. It helps.
I wish number 5 was like some kind of knew how to replicate that one.
Yeah. Just keep building the brand, the content, the community, the brand, man. You keep doing that, and I'll also give you one. Here's an idea. Anything you would add to that? Anything you'd add to that?
No, I think you nailed it and articulated it better than I could have.
Good. If you want an idea, the next challenge, I would just have everyone go to Drive Tanks and then have 15 people put their hand on the tank, and then the last one to take their hand off is the one that gets the $100,000. See, that's the Mr. Beast way of doing it.
Yeah,
right?
like very simplistic. Like we over-engineered it.
People are going to be there. They're going to have fatigue 36 hours in, and it's the most boring thing to watch ever. Everyone just goes home.
But they edit it and make it look amazing, and it gets millions of views.
Yeah. Well, hey, John, thank you for being on here. Everybody, on behalf of John, Roman, myself, and Dylan Counts, our producer, we want to thank you for listening to the Ecommerce Alley podcast. If you're not part of our free Facebook group, go to alleypodcast.com/group. Join it. It's free. It's awesome. Tons of great stuff. And we'll see you in the next episode. John's going to be in there. Heck yeah. All right. We'll see you in the next episode.